Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Had Luffy's Personality and Was Protected by Supernatural World Part 2. Before we start, please go support God of Hope for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Bumps and things in life. My friends and I are hunting ducks. There were 6 guys dressed as hunters with paintball guns in canoes floating on a lake. In the lake there was a huge inflatable mattress, and on the edge there was another guy, but this one had a white life jacket covered in feathers and a hat similar to a duck's head. And about 2 more subjects who were on a platform as if waiting for the moment to jump. You might be wondering, what the hell is going on here? Well, I'll give you a little summary. Issei had been requested by a group of boys who are eternal fans of the one and only Jackass. They make the jokes and stupid things that their idols did and upload them on the internet in honor of them. What does Issei have to do with all this? Simple, they needed a cameraman to film and extra help in case something goes wrong, and Issei is their usual demon, so they asked for his services in exchange for money and a paintball gun as a gift. To which he agreed, not for the money, but for the gun and to witness something funny. Kuik. The call to bring out the duck and… yeah. The 2 on the platform jumped and landed on the mattress, causing the duck-dressed man to fly away. Well, he was shot to death by his companions with paintballs. Issei was dying of laughter at this, and even more so when the duck type fell into the water in a comical way. Although he was thrown so far that it would be a miracle if he didn't break his neck. Fortunately, he was not seriously injured. He was bruised by the paint bullets, but nothing to complain about. After that, everyone was laughing around a campfire while Issei was laughing too. They offered him sake, but he refused since Ria strictly forbade him from drinking alcoholic beverages, especially if the customer offered it to him, so he drank soda. Hey kid, you were great with the camera today. Yes, old man, and besides, last time when we did the Electric Avenue you dared to go through with those electric stingers. Well, the truth is that you guys are funny. I would love to do that kind of stuff at the academy, it would be fun, hehehe. We can already imagine the crazy things you do at your school. Everyone liked Issei, that's why he became their frequent demon, and Issei doesn't complain, in fact, he helps them in whatever he can, so that the things they do turn out well if getting hurt is the requirement. You know what guys, let's toast to our friend. Despite being a demon, he's a great guy. Let's toast to him. Let's go. Everyone stood up from their chairs and raised their sake cans. Issei did the same with his soda, but… no kid, you can't toast with soda. Give him some sake so he can become an adult. Hey. But my mistress forbids me. We'll give you some advice, kid, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, once you try it you won't stop wanting more. Well, you're not going to refuse, are you? The chestnut was in a dilemma, he didn't want to disappoint his friends and regular customers, but he also didn't want to be punished for quarrels and at the same time have a sore backside and not be able to sit for a week. So he turned to his friend and battle companion. Brag, what should I do? Well, I would tell you not to do it, but how do you overcome that human's logic? Having no other choice, he took the can they offered him and stood up to toast with them. What's the worst that can happen? What the hell, Ice? That is the angry cry when he sees that his pawn and friend apart from platonic love arrived but unable to stand and smelling of sake. You could tell he didn't like this at all. Akeno started laughing quietly. Kaneko looked at Issei disapprovingly and Kiba could only go help him from falling. Udo, put him on the couch. This is something I have to deal with personally. He obeyed his mistress's order and dragged Issei along. The brown-haired boy only said things that were not relevant. One more for me. I think you've had too much to drink, Issei-kun. Come on Kiba, give me one more. You've gotten into a lot of trouble. They said that it is easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. They are very wise, haha, although they told me that they will give me a how do you say hangover. That's it, you know. Kiba left him on the furniture, causing him to fall like a log, with an idiotic smile. How do you feel, Issei-kun? Issei, it's great, they told me that next time they should take me to a how do you say it. It starts with a B. Ambertle. You got it right again, my friend. Kiba just sighed, and even more so when he felt how his mistress was starting to get angrier with those last words. The she-devil spoke. Everyone can leave for today, I'll take care of this. Although they weren't sure what the redeed would do, they just obeyed and each went their own way. While Riaz just glared at Issei, she knew it wasn't his fault, she knew that like every teenager he is very curious about many things. But what the customers did to him is something he doesn't intend to tolerate. I will talk to those clients later about what they did to him, but for now. The devil only took her cell phone to send a message to Rainer so that she wouldn't worry about Issei. But I have to confess something, Hick. She just sighed at the meaningless things he said. Issei, you're not in condition to. I have a lot of things to say, hic. I already told you that. These are things I haven't told anyone. At that Riaz opened her eyes. What if this was serious? A chance. She just put away her cell phone and sat next to her pawn. I hear you. Is she a she-devil you were expecting? Well then the other day I went to see a frequent Kiba customer. Just. Do you know Suzu? Yes, I know her, she is a very calm client although good at sports. Yudo tells me that sometimes she doesn't have free time. Well, it turns out that he has a lot of free time. What are you talking about? Well then she asked someone to help her with a workout the other day hic when I got to her house she told me, Issei-kun come here I'm on fire, let's exercise. Riaz at the imitation of voice and those words made her blush. That's what he told you? Yes hic and that was just the beginning, then she took me to a room where she had everything ready I don't know why, but she was very excited. Riaz remained silent trying to process what she heard from Issei's mouth. But his pawn kept talking. But that's not all, once we arrived he told me Issei-kun, you'll see how flexible I can be, you'll love it. The king's face reddened even more just imagining that moment that the brown-haired boy was telling her about. I really felt like I was doing something wrong. And what did you do? Surely, like a good pawn and obedient to his master, you refused right? Well. She stared at him waiting for his answer. But when she saw how his eyes looked elsewhere she got it. You did it, what were you thinking? I almost screamed in surprise. I'm a boy, I can't refuse something like that he replied. I can't believe it she was in shock at what he was telling her. Come on but it wasn't that bad, I bet you wouldn't refuse, right? He replied with an idiotic smile, but. Bang. Though he received a blow to the head from Riaz, who had her right hand in a red aura and was frowning, but with a noticeable blush. And why was that? Are you asking me that? Doing that kind of thing and then telling me that I would like to I can't believe how cynical you are being. Sorry, I'll shut up now. And who told you to shut up? Continue are the words of Riaz with a blush wanting to hear more than what she did. Then she did a hick trick with her legs that she didn't know and without knowing it, bang, she was on the ground at his mercy. They did it on the ground. Ria's mind was already flying because of the images that were getting into her head. But we didn't stop there, there were so many movements and they were so strong that my pelvis started to hurt, it hurt so much that I don't know if I could walk, she really squeezes hard haha. Bang. Ow ow and now why? That was the result of another blow from his king who couldn't stop blushing. And you still ask? How dirty you are Issei Haidu, I don't need to know that kind of details, I'm not even interested in hearing them. Did you think that the conversation ended with that? And what happened next? Well, they thought wrong. Well, the times we did it were so many that she felt very exhausted, hic the good thing was that I wasn't that tired. But I was very dirty from hic all the action haha. Bang. Hey you I think I don't need to tell you. And you even boast about it. I think that getting involved with those guys is turning you into a beast. Pardon. Apologies won't fix this and listen carefully, I forbid you to see that property thief again I'll deal with her later. It's good. But that Riaz sighed, although deep down she was hurt because she wanted to be the boy's first time and now that wish will not be fulfilled. She only squeezed her skirt in an effort to keep the tears from falling out. But then will I have to give you back your gloves? That last thing was something that took her out of her pain. Gloves? Yes, gloves, he gave them to me so I could practice my punches. It's. What are you talking about, Ice? Well, mixed boxing gloves, those she gave me are great because they are red, which is my favorite. She gave them to me after practicing a lot of submission moves. Ria's eyes widened in shock, knowing that she might have misunderstood everything. Ooh, but you said your pelvis hurt. If I hit it hurt me because of the holds he gave me with his legs and arms, sometimes he wouldn't even let me go to breathe. So all this time you were talking to me about boxing. Correction. She misunderstood everything. Well, if that's what Butchu was talking to you about, then you understood me. Nothing I didn't understand you at all. Okay if you say so. And after that Rainer arrived at the club and was surprised to see Issei drunk and with bumps on his head. He knew from Ria's face that what happened was something he shouldn't know about, so he took him away without saying anything. When Riaz was alone she just went into the shower and turned on the cold water, causing her skin to cool down because of the heat of her body. It was just boxing haha just boxing. The thoughts and images that were in her head did not go away and to top it off she imagined herself with Issei doing those things not suitable for minors. How could I think something like that? That night she couldn't sleep because of those thoughts. Dawn broke and a new day arrived at the Cow Academy. It was already lunchtime and everyone was enjoying their break time. Including Issei who is calm at the table along with Yuma and Aika who accompanied him. Something that seemed very strange to everyone since usually he would be starting a disaster, but it is not like that since he had his head on the table because of the hangover he had and a glass of water with grape salt. Those were the moans of the hangover I had at this moment. That's what you get for drinking, I hope you do it again. That was Aika's scolding, who after finding out received him with a tremendous blow and in passing told him that she would not give him any of her bento as punishment. I know. How do you feel, Ice-kun? Is what his violet-eyed friend asked. I changed my mind. Sake is what I hate most in the world now, vegetables and injections come second and third. I don't feel well today. Even the others felt sorry for the always energetic boy in that state. It wasn't until the cafeteria doors were kicked open. Everyone turned to see a blonde-haired boy entering. Okay everyone, why aren't you starting a fight? The chestnut upon hearing that voice just looked up with a smile. Serving. The now known as Saji looked where he heard his name and Issei. Serve. They both ran in slow motion as if there was a beach in ambient lighting. Issei, he called. Saji, the other answered. He called again. I was about to answer when Issei, his friend's face changed from happy and joyful to furious and sadistic. Saji. The brown-haired boy was bewildered. Issei, the blonde's intentions were clear so. Wednesday, the brown-haired boy turned around running for his life, breaking the atmosphere they had created earlier. Issei, I'm going to kill you. The blonde who was blinded by anger chased after Issei, but not only that, but with his right leg, he kicked trash cans, books and the occasional student who was unlucky enough to be within his reach. Saji, wait, I swear it wasn't my fault. The brown-haired boy tried to reason with him. Come here, don't run, coward, but he didn't listen to him. They've already started. The girl with glasses sighed just watching them play cat and mouse. What are you talking about? Is what I asked. But this is normal with Issei and Saji. I surely played a joke on him and he always comes to teach him a lesson and in some cases. Bang. The girls turned to see Issei on the ground with a bruise sticking out of his head and the blonde with his heel on the bruise. Ends up in that state. Almost all the students laughed, not to make fun of it, but to have fun. At Cow Academy you can't find a dull moment. Everyone returned to their classes waiting for the teacher in charge of teaching the subject, which she arrived at. But I come with news. Okay, students, I know this is unexpected, but today we will be giving flu vaccines, so everyone go to the infirmary to get your shots. Everyone was murmuring about this, but a girl with glasses just sighed for the second time, to which Yuma noticed and was going to ask her until 3, 2, 1 she counted down. Hey, what about Haidu? Is what one of his classmates asked. In the seat where Issei was supposed to be now there was no one, and in front of the door a trail of smoke could be seen. The whole classroom was smiling, including the teacher, at what I was talking about. Kiryu-san, make sure he gets his vaccine. As you say, sensei, is what she said once she stood up and asked to take Yuma, to which the teacher accepted. They were walking through the hallways when they came across a certain blonde. Serve. Hey Aika, I heard about the vaccines, don't tell me she ran away again, she asked a girl with glasses with some annoyance while she opened the wrapper of a candy lollipop to put it in her mouth and savor it. Even the question is stupid. What can you do, hurry up when the weather is bad, is what he said, already resigned, but not before noticing Yuma. And who is she? She is a friend of Ice. So he asked, unsure, so she nodded. The blonde just approached Yuma. Look, maybe he trusts you, but I don't. If I see a sign of threat or betrayal, I won't hold back from eliminating you, even if it earns me his hatred. Do we understand each other? Rainer just nodded with a serious look, although inside she felt intimidated by that boy. Well, Aika, where do you think he escaped from? He must be in the forest, you know he prefers the safety of the trees. I just hope we don't have to take him with the tree. The two of them walked with a Rainer following them and wondering why Issei ran away from class. Ha 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 ha. These were the laughs heard in a scandalous way in the club room by Sona Citri, who did not stop laughing. And not only her, but also her queen Tsubaki, who bit her lower lip to keep from laughing. Just like Akeno, who despite her attempts also gave in to what she heard. And it is that Riaz has a visit from her friend and rival, and she proceeds to tell her what happened that night, waiting for her to give her opinion, but I think she would have been better off keeping it to herself. Now she was very blushing and embarrassed. Ha 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 ha, I can't believe that, ha 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 that you understood that, ha 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 ha. Could you stop laughing? I don't find it funny. Riaz couldn't stand her friend's teasing. Sorry, but it's just that no matter how you look at it, it's obvious that you misinterpreted everything. Who would have thought that the heiress of the Grimmery family was a closet pervert, and even more so when thinking about those things with Issei, ha 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 ha. Yes, very funny, you can laugh if you want, Riaz commented sarcastically. What would you have done if you had heard everything? I bet you would have misinterpreted it too. Well, at least I would have a cool head, I wouldn't be like you who thought 1,001 dirty things pffffff. If you keep laughing, I'll cut your tongue out, Riaz warned her friend, so she bit her lower lip in an attempt to stop laughing. Well, I'm sorry, I guess I exaggerated a bit. A bit? Okay, I really went too far, Sona said to calm her red-haired friend, forgive me, okay. HMPM. So then? What made you think that Issei would do that kind of thing? You and I both know that he's not like that. I know, but the she-devil hesitated to tell him, especially with her right hands listening to everything. Riaz, perhaps you fear that some client will. It's not that, Sona. Then why? It's like you said, he wouldn't do that kind of thing, but we both know that once the red dragon is awakened, the attraction increases, enemies and more girls will begin to be attracted to him. Yes, I know that, but I know you and I know that that is not what really worries you is what the black-haired girl told him. You caught me. Well. Why do you plan to prevent me from making contracts with girls? Was the direct question she asked him. Riaz, without any other choice, I just talk. Are you visiting school days? The Arasitri just blinked and then let out a heavy sigh at what her friend said. I told you not to watch that and now you're traumatized, fearing that Konoha will come to kill you. I can tell that you developed yandophobia. Riaz only blushed more. But that's only half, you haven't told me the other half. Well, you know I want to keep Issei in a low profile before she notices it. Sono fell silent at the mention of her. You're talking about? Yes, that's right, the heiress of the Larahe family. I heard that she is a battle addict and that she is looking for a strong man to mold him to her liking as a husband. Many heirs and high-class demons tried to court her, but among them there was none that interested her. They say that she likes to torture and humiliate her enemies in the ratings games. That's why I want to keep Issei in a low profile as much as possible. If she were to find out that he can use hockey, I can't imagine what she'll do to get her hands on it. Well, you have a good point there, not many humans can perfectly master hockey, and even more so one as strong as Issei's is what Sona expressed, but even so, I think that what you do is delay the inevitable. You know very well his goal. He wants to be respected not only by the mass, but by the gods of other religions, including the God of the Bible. I know that, it's just that I'm afraid for him. Her friend just smiled when she saw that the Redeed's concern was genuine and honest. So she just stood up and walked to her, putting a hand on her shoulder. The only advice I can give you is this: don't limit it, make it stronger. But that she headed for the door accompanied by her queen. But before that she stopped. I forgot to tell you that the flu vaccination was brought forward today, and you know what happens, right? She said that with a funny smile, and seeing her friend sigh, I sent my pawn, so that at least they would have an extra hand. Thanks for the heads up, Sona. And with that they left, leaving Riaz and Akeno alone in the club. Akeno calls Udo and Kaneko too. I already called them, but they are heading to the forest. Riaz got up to go straight to the door with the black-haired girl. Well, let's go find someone. A school forest, a place where a piece of nature abounds and many students can enjoy it. It's ideal for hiding. Something that two people accompanied by a fallen angel knew. Well, I hope we can find him, is what the blonde said. We will find him, although I don't understand why he continues to do that at his age. You know how he is somewhat childish for his age. We know that. They turned to see the Riaz and her nobility walking in their direction. Riaz senpai Saji greeted her with respect. Riaz senpai Aika without much interest. I greet you. Something that bothered the she-devil a little, but she let it go. Riaz senpai, did you come to help us look for Issei? He is my pawn and taking him to his obligations for his own good is my duty as mistress. Aika, upon hearing those words, just laughed and left them to walk into the forest. Then the others followed her, and Rainer stopped Kiba so she could talk to him. Could you tell me why we looked for Ice-kun in the forest? And why when he heard vaccines he disappeared? Well then you have to see that for yourself, is what the gentleman said with a nervous smile, leaving the fallen woman more curious. Once inside, everyone split up to search and cover more ground. 15 minutes passed without any incident until. But it was the white-haired girl who called Riaz. What's wrong, Kaneko-chan? I found it. After those words everyone gathered and went to where she was looking up at a tree. They looked up to see what for Rainer was strange. It was Issei who was on a branch clinging to the tree trunk as if his life depended on it, and they noticed that his fingers were covered by hockey. Ice, you better get down from there now. It seems that Aika's words fell on deaf ears as Issei clung tighter to the tree. Issei, you have to come down, don't make me go up and down by force, is what the blonde threatened, but I'm not getting off. It didn't work. Come on, stop acting like a crying baby and get down from that tree. I'm not getting off, Aika, and you can't force me. I don't like injections. Rainer now understood everything, and the others just sighed. You're just delaying the inevitable. I can't believe you're afraid of a single bite. Aika's harsh words did not help at all. Ice, please come down, what we're doing is for your own good. It was Ria's turn to convince him. I don't want but you, I'm supposed to be a demon, human diseases don't affect me anymore, why do they have to inject me? Because it's just to save face, you know they shouldn't know you're a demon. Come on Issei-kun, please come down, because of the hangover you had you didn't eat anything, how about you eat after the injection, the knight asked him. Even if they say all that, I won't get off. If I get off, they'll take me to the infirmary and stick a damn needle in my buttocks, the brown-haired boy said, trembling with fear. Get down, Issei ordered him. No. Issei, I raised my voice, Aji. I said no. Everyone sighed again, knowing that they couldn't bring him down in a good way, so they only had to. 5 minutes later. No, 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 I don't want to know. The hard way. Since they were Saji and Kiba who with their wings went up and pulled the brown-haired boy down where Ika and Kaneko were waiting for them to be able to drag him to the infirmary. I promise you'll eat when this is over is what Kiba told him to calm him down while pulling him. Don't be a crybaby and cooperate with us, Saji said, frustrated because the brown-haired boy wasn't cooperating while he also pulled him. While Rias and Akeno also went to help Ika and Kaneko, leaving Rainer watching everything with a drop of sweat on the back of her neck, watching as they lowered her friend as if he were a cat fleeing a bathroom. Already in the infirmary. The nurse who had already administered all the vaccines to the students was just waiting at her desk for them to arrive. The door opened and inside it was seen the boys who were bringing Issei. He was not surprised that he was carrying a tree torn from the roots with him. Look who they brought, my favorite patient. We brought him as ordered is what Saji said to the nurse. Well, I'm glad. I want to try this new syringe you sent me, you'll love it. With a sadistic smile she pulled a syringe out of nowhere, but this one was something that terrifies the chestnut more. That's a horse syringe, get me out of here. Hold him, the nurse asked Saji and Kiba who obeyed, leaving the rear of the hockey user exposed. No, please no, this is going to hurt me, he begged, but deep down he knew it was inevitable. What he didn't expect was Rias holding his left hand, smiling at him and reassuring him, and Ika taking his right hand, giving him a serious look, but smiling. He knew that despite everything they were and will continue to be his friends, although sometimes he wished he had enemies like them, and this was one of those times. Here goes. Put. The brown-haired boy opened his eyes wide from what he had just felt and the scream scared many birds, and animals like dogs and cats made a racket. Yep, this was another day in the life of Issei. For those we love we make sacrifices. Another sunrise and another dawn in the city of Kao. Where children, young people and adults get up for their daily tasks, whether studying or working. And on the way we see Issei accompanied by Rainer in his uniform. They both walk toward school, of course Issei for once is not smiling. Something I miss about the fall. Ice-kun, what's wrong? The black-haired girl asked but received no answer. And he was like that since this morning. For something that happened last night. Flashback. He was on the roof looking at the stars as was his routine. Watching the constellations with a smile and taking his fang hanging from his neck. Gosh, I hope Shinsu comes back soon, I want to introduce him to my friends. But he stopped thinking when he saw a flash of light behind him. I turned around to see that it was the same red-haired girl. But you? What are you doing here? Nothing, Ice, I just came to talk to you, can I sit down? Sure, go ahead. She sat next to him and looked at the sky. Despite being a creature of darkness, she always liked the stars. She knew some constellations and imagined touching or reaching one of them. It's a beautiful night. Haha, I always go up to the roof to see them, there are times when I fall asleep watching them. Oh really? Yes, seriously. They both laughed as they talked about many things. Issei about the fun times he spent with his master and Rias about the many moments she spent with her older brother. Gosh, but you have a great brother. It's not that bad, there are times when I wish he would leave his duty so I could spend time with him, but I know he works hard to keep the underworld running, I would just be a hindrance in his life. That's what the Redeed said with a sad look at the starry sky. Don't say that. She stopped looking to see Issei who had a serious expression. He is your brother, and even if time passes and he has duties and responsibilities, he will always look out for you, so don't say that you are a burden to him, because if he were here he would surely say the opposite. I know that he is proud of you, and you should be proud of him too. Those words were perhaps what slowly changed the expression of sadness to happiness on the devil's face. She didn't know how, but she hugged Issei. He stayed gone for a few seconds until later she responded. They stayed like that for a few minutes, Issei trying to give her a lot of support and Rias not only feeling the warmth of his body, but smelling his scent and enjoying his presence. She tightened her grip on him as if she wanted this moment to never end. But it was a shame it had to end. She let go of him and looked into his eyes. Me too, but when he saw her eyes, he began to get alarmed because there was sadness in them. Issei. See but you. Would you do me a small favor? Yes sure, whatever. Well then close your eyes. He was a little confused by those words. But he did what she asked anyway. He closed his eyes. Whatever happens, don't open them. Okay. He kept them closed until he felt warm hands on his cheeks and then something wet and warm touching his lips. She couldn't resist. She opened her eyes to see that it was Riaz herself kissing her lips. It was a chaste kiss, but at the same time sweet, in which she tasted the chestnut's breath. But Issei saw something that shocked him. She cried. When the kiss ended she was blushing, but at the same time rivers of tears ran down her beautiful face. I don't look him in the eyes, avoiding any eye contact with the pawn. I just get up and walk. I'm glad you're my first kiss. But you? Take the weekend off, don't come as an order. But you, wait, what's happening? She just looked at Issei as a red light shone in a circle beneath her feet. He saw her looking at him with tears and extending a hand as if she didn't want to leave, as if she wanted to stay. Thanks for everything. That was what he said when he disappeared, but Issei got up and ran in an attempt to take that hand. Bye. But you? I was going to reach her, but she had disappeared. He was silent for a few moments. But he felt something he had never felt before. He felt like he had just lost someone important. As if I had failed. Vindel flashed back. He came out of his thoughts. No matter what it was, he would find out what was wrong with his mistress. He couldn't call himself a friend if he failed him. And he couldn't have his family if he couldn't know what was happening to his mistress. When he arrived at the academy, Kao saw Aika and Saji talking about some things, but the blonde became alarmed when he saw Issei. Issei, what are you doing here? I go to school, that's what I do. Riaz-senpai gave you the weekend off, that includes you not attending. Go back home. But the brown-haired boy paid little attention to him as he entered, not caring about his blonde friend's protests. Hey Issei, come back. I didn't listen to him and went straight to the club room. When he arrived he found everyone there, except for Riaz, who was not there. Ara, but what are you doing here? I came to talk to Butchu, where is she? Well, she. Issei noticed how the Gremory Queen's face was nervous and also that she was looking for reasons for him not to be there. Akeno-senpai, what's up? The brown-haired boy's voice was serious, he didn't like things being hidden from him. It's okay Issei-kun, why don't we go to your house and… But you will not return to the human world, Issei-kun. Diba's words were like a bucket of cold water. Udo, we weren't supposed to. I'm sorry Fukubuchu, but he has the right to know. Diba, what do you mean she's not coming back? Tell me, what's going on? He approached the knight with a serious look, but one of desperation because of the previous words. The knight was silent for a moment, but… Tell me now. The patience of the drag bearer was little. She won't come back because the Gremory family will force her to get married tomorrow, and she will stay in the underworld to be with her fiancé. She gave us her brother, so we wouldn't have to obey that guy. She sacrificed herself for us, Issei-kun. Hearing all that, only Issei felt that same feeling he had on the roof. He clenched his fists tightly and unconsciously his haki revealed itself. He had failed him. Change of scene. In it. Underworld. In a room, sitting looking at herself in the mirror, was the same Riaz. But his look was one of deep depression. All her life she was raised to be a strong girl who knows how to face problems even if they are difficult. She dreamed of overcoming and winning in the ratings games, she dreamed of being a devil recognized throughout the underworld for her own efforts, she dreamed of having a boy who loved her, with whom she could be herself. She even found him. All she had left to do was show him her feelings and they would be together. But everything went to hell when his family made a deal with the Phoenix family, the family of the evil Phoenix. And to make matters worse, they did not let her give her opinion. According to them, as an heiress, she must accept what is best for the family. And to make matters worse, the person she is engaged to could be said to be the king of the arrogant. And to make matters worse, he only sees her as a piece of meat, he would never give her her rightful place, he would only suffer at her side. But she did not want her servants to suffer the same as her, so she gave her nobility to her brother. He knew that they would be safe with his brother. But his most beloved servant and friend. He who has his heart. Issei. He would be better off in the hands of the Mau, a strong person who with his training would achieve his dream. He will be safe. That's the only thing that matters to him. While looking in the mirror she took out her hairbrush, but when she looked for it, she saw something that was her greatest treasure. The white handkerchief. But this one was different, it had very noticeable blood stains on it. She took it and looked at it with some longing and nostalgia. Remember that day when that handkerchief was stained? Flashback. She ran through the school passing some students. I ran frantically when I heard what was happening at that moment. When I arrived at the place, many students were gathered. And in the middle were two of them. One was tall and somewhat stocky, and the other was of average height. It was Issei. But the worst. I was being beaten. Without any attempt to defend himself. Riaz pushed past until she saw how they hit her cheek with a hook, causing her to fall to the ground. "What are you waiting for, get up." But he didn't answer, he just leaned against a wall sitting down without looking at him. "You're pathetic, you say you want everyone to know who you are. Well, I'll tell you, you are just a loser, a retard who doesn't even know how to tell a lie, you are just an insect, you are worthless in this world." Issei had his eyes covered by the shadow of his hair, while the attacker spat in his face. "Where you are sitting is your place and there you will stay." That was the last thing he said to him before leaving, already satisfied with what he had done, and bursting out laughing along with his friends who were laughing with him. Afterwards everyone would have left, leaving only the two of them. Riaz and Issei. Although she wanted to delete that guy, she didn't do it for two reasons. They would discover her. And I'd lose the only valuable friendship he jealously cares for. The she-devil approached, looking at the state the boy in her thoughts was in. He knelt down and with a white handkerchief he cleaned her face, removing the blood stains. "Are you okay?" And? The brown-haired boy responded weakly with a slight smile. But little by little. "Ha ha 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 ha." He burst out laughing, greatly worrying his red-haired friend. "Ice, what are you laughing at?" "Ha ha ha, I don't know, I just do it, ha 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 ha." "But they left you hurt, why didn't you defend yourself? Why did you let them insult you and humiliate you like that?" She couldn't understand it, no matter how much she thought about it, she couldn't understand. "My teacher once told me that a man's dream can only die if he abandons it, let them laugh at you, because when you reach the top of your dreams, you will be able to laugh better." After those words she could see him in a different light. He could understand that he won that fight that day with brute force, if not with his own will. Vindel flashed back. "Riaz?" She came out of her thoughts when she saw someone enter her room. He was a young man about 21 years old with red hair and blue eyes, he was Riaz's brother. "Ani-sama. I came to see you, since tomorrow is your wedding and it will be a long time since we see each other." "I know, I was just lost in my thoughts." He approached his sister and at the same time noticed the handkerchief she had in her hands. "And that handkerchief, Riaz?" She just smiled, delicately touching the stained handkerchief. "It's just something that will help me with the hell that awaits me, this is the only thing that will give me courage in my marriage." The Mayu smiled as he saw his sister smiling, he was honestly expecting a depressed girl who wanted to be alone. "Does that handkerchief have a story?" "He has the blood of a boy I admire and..." She stopped talking, she wanted to keep those feelings in her heart. Time passed and they talked, she told him about her pawn, what he is like, his way of being, his big heart, she even told him what her dream is. Something that surprised the super devil. "That boy is very interesting, I would like to meet him, I hope he is at the wedding." "It won't be." "Won't it be? Why?" She became sad and looked at the handkerchief, holding it in her hands. "Because I know him and I know that he will try to stop this wedding and the last thing I want is for Razor to do something to him. I will never forgive myself if something happened to him, so right now he doesn't know anything." Those words were enough to make the Mayu smile. "But do you know what he thought of you?" The words caught his attention. "I thought you were the best brother I could ever have and I have to be proud of you." Saying that last thing, she hugged him in a fraternal hug, one that the Mayu had not received in years since his sister grew up. He returned the hug, smiling and glad that she didn't hold any kind of grudge against him for not being able to spend more time as a family. "Issei, hi, do I definitely have to find him." Change of scene. Issei's house. It was getting dark and in a room a boy was in his bed looking through his window at the crescent moon. All day he went out of the city to vent his anger, he knocked down many trees, broke many rocks, made many landslides. All because he knows he will never see Riaz again, his friend, the one who inspired him to be the best. The one who opened the doors to the supernatural and gave him a chance to have his own family, the one who allowed him to have friends and value them, the one who allowed him to enjoy a great opportunity to fight for his dream. She just clenched her fists, knowing that at that moment her mistress and friend was heading for a marriage without love and without feelings. "If only I could go to that place, I swear I would get her out of there, but what can I do, they won't let me enter the underworld." She took the fang hanging around her neck with one hand, with a serious frustrated expression. "How can I have my own family if I can't protect but you? If only I had a chance." But that night something happened, a light emerged from the ground and from that light someone appeared, he stood on guard waiting for any attack from whoever appeared. The guy he doesn't know came out of it. "Is this Issei Haidu?" "If I am, who are you?" The subject just smiled sideways when he confirmed that he was the person he was looking for. "I came to ask for your help if you still want to save your mistress." Hearing that last thing, Issei did not waste that opportunity. "I'm listening to you. Tomorrow is the wedding and you can only enter with this." He shows her an envelope, it's a wedding invitation. Do whatever you have to do, I just ask that you save her. He remained silent, looking at the invitation, and then looked at the subject with a look full of determination and will. Take it for granted. Change of scene. Underworld. Wedding day. It was the day that many demons had been waiting for. Clan leaders were hoping for this wedding to unite families and have grandchildren. The wives also awaited the future pure-blood heirs united by the Grimoire Phoenix blood. Everyone was invited to the wedding. Acquaintances of Ria's and the fiancé came expecting a successful wedding. Ria's previous servants were dressed elegantly although they did not speak to any of the guests. The fiancé's servants only laughed and planned the things they would do not only with the knight but also with the spoken peon they heard. Sona along with her queen also came to support the bride so as not to leave her alone in her worst moment. They all gathered together and in the middle on an altar was a man. He had long blonde hair, dark hair and blue eyes, he had an arrogant smile and a posture that told you, I am superior to you in every way. His name was Razor Phoenix. And he smiled as if he had made the greatest achievement of his life. Members of the Phoenix and Grimoire families, I am pleased that you have attended my wedding, and now I present to you my Crimson Queen, my wife Ria's Grimoire. And out of a flash of light at the door she appeared, dressed in white with a veil and pearls around her neck. Like all women at their wedding, they tend to smile with happiness as they walk down the aisle. But she just stared coldly at her fiancé. She walked, being watched by everyone, feeling as if she was going straight to the guillotine, that everyone was waiting for her execution, and that this detestable man was her executioner. When I get to the altar I simply walk without accepting his hand. When will you stop being cold with me? Were Razor's malicious words. When I no longer have to see your face, she replied coldly. Well, get used to it, because we will spend the rest of our almost eternal lives as husband and wife. Then he looked at her body with lascivious eyes, making her feel repulsed by his gaze. I can't wait to make you my hitch on this wedding night, cuckoo. Although he remained impassive on the outside, on the inside he was in agony of anguish. She just closed her eyes, holding the bouquet, wanting with all her might a miracle. A single miracle. Bowl. Everyone heard a sound at the door and looked to see who was responsible. What they saw left them speechless. The door had been brutally knocked down, and someone was coming out through the dust. That someone had brown hair, a red undershirt and over it, an unbuttoned white long-sleeved shirt folded halfway around his arm. On his neck was a fang hanging from a rope. She had black Bermuda shorts that reached her knees with many typical Bermuda bags. Open grey boot-shaped shoes and black fingerless gloves. Many people were wondering who was that guy who interrupted an important wedding. But only 7 people knew who he was. Which only 6 smiled, although 5 of them didn't expect him to come, and Riaz was in shock seeing her pawn walk in without any hesitation. Who are you and what are you doing at my wedding? Razor asked haughtily, seeing Issei like an insect. Something that didn't matter to him so he just responded in his own way. I am the devil to whom I answer. You respond to Razor Phoenix, and you're going to pay for interrupting my moment, kill him. Several demon guards came out with spears and magic aimed at Issei. There were 30 of them and they planned to eliminate him. Ice no. Iridid ran down the altar still in heels in an attempt to get her pawn out and prevent him from getting hurt but something happened. Everything became silent. The murmurs could not be heard and an explosion of energy or invisible force hit everyone. It seemed as if time was running slowly. When that happened everyone saw how the guards who were intending to stop him simply fell to the ground unconscious with foam at the mouth and wide eyes. Something that scared many of the demons present. And it made the blonde sweat cold out of fear, his instinct told him that this boy was very dangerous. But only one of them, the leader of the Grimoire family, said a few words. Household appliances hockey. The oldest demons, hearing that, went on alert as he continued speaking. The hockey that only 1 in a million can have the will to subdue your enemies without having to fight a power worthy of a king. I can't believe it. That's his power is what Sona said, amazed by such an ability. Those were middle-class demons, and he knocked them out like nothing, said his queen, also amazed. I didn't know I could do that, Akeno said, surprised. Kaneko didn't say anything except looking at the brown-haired boy. Well, it's Issei-kun we're talking about, it's obvious that he's serious about his goal of facing the gods, said Kiba with a proud smile. Sugoi said, a girl in a pink dress, with blonde hair combed into a ringlet, watching with fascination that display of power and how he defeated those demons without even moving a muscle. He walked calmly until he reached Riaz, who was halfway there, and just said to him. Never say goodbye because I don't like goodbyes. Although she was worried, she could only smile when she saw the determined look on the chestnut boy's face. He continued walking until he was a few meters from the fiancé. The Razor, right. I came to kick your butt. Razor was scared, and even more so when he felt how she looked at him in a serious and reckless way. I really don't care who you are or what you do with your life, but. He squeezed his left arm and it turned black, but it was different, there were blue flashes in it. Those who mess with my friends become my enemies. Final blow. The silence reigned in place. Issei openly declared that he wanted to beat Razor's face. That was fine until. Foo 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 it is it ha 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 ha. The Phoenix laughed as if he had been told a good joke. Something that bothered the Gremory entourage and even more so Ria's for making fun of her pawn and friend. Ah ha 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 I almost believed her. Are you here to break my face? You couldn't hit Razor Phoenix, never in your life. Those words annoyed those who supported Issei even more. But the brown-haired boy simply continued to watch, unaffected by the high-class demon's words. My servants will simply finish you off Cirrus, Shul and kill him. The aforementioned maids who were a tower and a knight took the sides and went to attack him with fist and sword. Whereas. Ria shouted at him to avoid that attack, but he didn't respond. He just stood still. You're ours. We got you. Everything happened very quickly for many. Kiba and Kaneko ran as fast as possible to go help him but. 5. Clang. The tower had received a blow to the chin and the knight's sword was broken while he received a cut to the chest. Both were thrown into a wall. Everyone looked at those responsible. The blonde boy with black jeans, blue Converse sneakers, a blue buttoned-up short-sleeved plaid shirt, headbands on his wrists, and a lollipop in his mouth that he was tasting. He had one leg raised high as if he had kicked a. Issei, we told you to wait for us. Also a girl wearing yellow knee-length trousers, a black blouse and over this a red vest, red fingerless gloves, low-heeled shoes and on each side of her hips, a sheath for swords. In her hands were two foil-type swords with golden handles with different designs, both giving off a silver-gray aura. Do you know how difficult it was to find you? This building is very big and to top it off my GPS doesn't work. Why does a girl carry a GPS where there are no satellites? Don't ask. Saji, Ika sorry, but I lost them while we were looking for the place. That's right, gentlemen, they were the ones who arrived at the last minute. Saji, what are you doing here? Is what Sona asked without knowing why one of her servants was present. Sorry Kaichu, but I came to keep Issei from getting into more trouble. But it seems we're late, Ika finished saying with an expression of what am I going to do with him. Is Gomen. Razor frowned. 2 of his maids were defeated in one blow. Issei walked preparing his fist hardened with hockey, but something happened. Okay, I think my special guest has already made his entrance. The Mayu spoke, getting everyone's attention and placing himself between the Phoenix and the brown-haired boy. Serzinches Sama, what does this mean? What do you mean, your special guest? Serzinches, what are you doing? Nothing father, I just heard from my little sister that her pawn is very strong, besides being the current possessor of the booster gear. That surprised all the demons from other families even more. The leaders know that this boy was not ordinary. What I did was bring him to put on a unique and unforgettable show. Phoenix versus Dragon. There was much murmuring among them. Razor, would you like to do this meeting? Ha, of course, after all I want to make him pay for interrupting the moment of my wedding with my future wife. He said this with an arrogant smile, forgetting that a few moments ago he was sweating cold because of her presence. Good, excellent. The Mayu turned to Issei who did not stop looking at him. Young man, is there something you want? Many protested against this since it was giving privilege to a reincarnated person. Something that is frowned upon by them. Well then. And what are they? Fame? Fortune? A harem? I can even promote you to high-class demon if you want. Nope, he said it without any interest. I will have my family with my effort. He said that last thing with a smile. I only want 2 things, I want Butchu to be free from any marriage that is against her will, including this one. And anything else? Issei looked challengingly at the Mayu, causing everyone to look at him strangely. His friends already knew what he was going to order so they didn't bother to stop him. I want to fight you. That left many silent, including the Gremory entourage. You are very strong, if I manage to defeat you, I will be one step closer to achieving my goal, maybe you are the Mayu but I. He took a deep breath for later. I will defeat Guuo, he shouted this to the 4 winds, raising his hand as a sign that he was going all out. Now everyone looked at him with their mouths open. As if he were crazy. As if he were suicidal. Ika just sighed and Saji rubbed his temples because of the headache this was going to give him. Riaz just smiled knowing that he didn't care about the opinion of others. There were times when she wanted to have a little of his courage. Sona was the same, smiling at the courage and guts of wanting to face the ruler of the underworld. And as for the Mayu. Ha 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 ha. He laughed, not with the intention of mocking. You are a very interesting boy, I like you. I agree to fight you. Everyone was speechless at the Redeed's response. Many protested saying he should not lower himself to the level of a simple reincarnated person, or accepting his challenge would be a mockery of the underworld. He silenced them with his gaze. He is the first in many years to openly challenge me without fear of retaliation. He has more courage than any other demon I have met. That is why I accepted. Issei smiled sideways, very excited about the fight he wanted to have. Things were about to get crazy. Change of scene. Issei versus Razor. In one place, where rocks float in an endless void and all you can see is purple, there was a wide circular space with pillars around it. Two people appeared in it. One was the heir of the Phoenix family. The other was the boy who openly challenged the Mao. They both looked at each other, one arrogantly and the other seriously. And in the middle of them appeared a woman with grey hair and clothing similar to a French maid. Apparently she was the judge at that meeting. Well, this will be a fight where the winner will be decided by surrender or until one of you can't take it anymore. There will be no time limit. Have you understood the rules well? And? Sip. She along with those watching the meeting had a drop on the back of their necks at Issei's pathetic attempt to appear as if he understood what she said. Aika just sighed and Saji just patted his forehead. And Riaz and her servants just smiled at the situation. I'll make it easy for you, if you give up or fall you lose, understood? 5 seconds passed in which Issei was in a thoughtful pose until he spoke. I got it, how clever I am, he. They all had one thought. This. Thanks One-E-san. At those words the maid opened her eyes in surprise, while the determined Mao was trying to hold back his laughter upon hearing that last thing. Although he would regret it in the end. She did not look him in the eyes and with a magic circle she left the place. Issei, not understanding the reason for his attitude, just shrugged his shoulders and proceeded to stretch his arms and legs a little. While Razor just saw that boy as if he were a mockery. You are very stupid to think that you could beat me, you know I feel sorry that you can't see the difference between you and me. But since I am compassionate I will give you the opportunity to surrender and beg for forgiveness on your knees. Since you are facing a superior being and. Those were his words with the intention of humiliating the brown-haired boy, but. He kept stretching and twisting his arms in case he had problems using them. He didn't pay attention to the blonde. In short, I ignored it. Which made him angry, since they don't tolerate being ignored. Hey, I'm talking to you. He foolishly replied without knowing. I told you that by being compassionate I could give you the opportunity to surrender and beg me for mercy and. The He opened his eyes to see that she wasn't ignoring him, now she was actually asleep with a bubble of mucus in her nose that inflated with her breathing. Which made him even angrier. Wake up for good luck. Pop. He woke up when his bubble burst and looked at Razor with some annoyance and yawning. Are we going to start now? Or are you going to bore me again? He didn't like those words because it was obvious that he wasn't taking it seriously. You know what? I was going to give you a chance to surrender, but now all I want is to reduce you to ashes. Nobody ignores Razor Phoenix and gets away with it. He said this making his body ignite in very furious flames. Issei just looked bored. Did you finish? That made the devil even angrier. You asked for it, take out your booster gear to begin. And why? I don't need it. That left him surprised and even more the spectators who considered him crazy for not taking out his sacred gear. Like you don't need it. I've managed it alone and I don't see any need to use drag. I'm going to break your face with my own hands. Apart from being an idiot, you are a madman. What can a reincarnated person like you do against me, a pure-blooded demon from the immortal Phoenix family? This. Question. In an instant, without knowing how, he disappeared from Razor's sight while he looked for him with his eyes. Howard, come out and face it. But he got his answer. Ham. Feeling great pain on his face from a punch charged with hockey. The blow sent Razor flying, crashing into a pillar and raising dust. Everyone was surprised except Aika and Saji, because with that speed he easily surpassed a knight. Issei looked at where Razor had fallen waiting for him to appear. I'm out now, I hope that blow didn't kill you. From the rubble a fiery explosion emerged, Razor came out. But on his face he had the marks of the blow and his nose was bleeding. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Well, it's a fight, I have to get hurt to win. Issei was looking at him like he was an idiot. Damn. Razor launched himself to hit him, but just when he had him in front of him. Issei as if nothing avoids it. But what surprised everyone is that he was not concentrating on the fight. And no matter how hard Razor tried, he couldn't land a single hit. I wonder what Ray will make for dinner, I hope it's curry. All the spectators simply did not believe it. But how can he evade those blows? It's ridiculous that Razor is humiliated by him. You're wrong. Everyone looked at Ika, who just smiled with superiority. He just doesn't take that demon seriously. If he wanted to, he would have already finished, but he gives him a chance. He simply knew what his level was when he felt his haki. Haki? Was what one of the demons asked. What you are seeing is that he uses Kenbun-shoku haki, the ability to strongly sense the opponent's presence. If one controls that haki, he can detect invisible enemies, how many there are, and even be able to follow their movements, all of that in an instant. A smile of pride was seen on Ika's face. Damn, you stop moving. Razor, knowing that his attacks weren't working, tried something else. I by the heat of my flames. From his hands he created a huge ball of fire in the direction of the boy, who was still thinking that he would have dinner tonight. What if I ask her to make yakisoba? Ice was the cry of Riaz, who watched in horror as the fireball headed towards him. How annoying is this heat? Let me think in peace. With his gaze, another wave of haki went to the fireball, and without the spectators knowing how, it dispersed, and it was not only the fire, but the pillars began to crack. But what? Were the words of the phoenix, who failed again, and not only that, but he felt afraid. Thanks, let's see, I could order a teriyaki, or maybe. Razor was not only losing, but he was being truly humiliated as his opponent was not taking the match seriously. Who does he think he is to make a fool of me? I am Razor Phoenix, third son of the Phoenix family. I am far superior to this lower class commoner. Hey, which one would you find more delicious? Teriyaki? Or yakitori? That question from the brown-haired boy only made the blonde angrier, since he took that as an insult. Who are you calling yakitori? Hey? You like yakitori? But you look like a chicken to me. Don't you feel bad about eating your friends? It must be said that those words were what caused a lot of laughter among observers, including Riaz and her nobility. Sona, despite her best efforts, also gave in, and her queen put a hand over her mouth. It was unknown if Issei liked to make fun of his enemies or was too stupid to know that he insulted his opponent. You're a damn man. I will make you pay for this insult. Insult? I just said what I saw. Her friend with glasses slapped her forehead upon hearing that. To be honest, it hurts me. Back to the fight, or if that's what you could call it. Razor used his wings of fire and rose very high until he reached the top of a pillar. I'm going to burn you, damn lower class. From his hands he created multiple medium-sized fireballs. There were so many that they covered the sky. Being a newly reincarnated person, he won't be able to use his wings. This will finish him. Die. The fireballs simply shot out in the direction of Issei, who, upon looking at those balls, only had a poker face expression. Really? This is the best you have? Since? Geppo. The demons opened their eyes as they watched Issei jump. But his feet caused explosions of air that propelled him higher and evaded the fireballs as if it were a game. He continued jumping in the air until he reached a pillar, looking at Razor with poker face. I'll tell you again, is this the best you have? Walk in the air? That's impossible. It is actually possible. It was Saji who spoke with a smile. Silencing the high-class devil's Geppo is a technique that allows the user to jump or walk in the air. It is one of 6 techniques of the Rakishiki. How do you know all that, Saji? He taught me 3 of the 6 Kaichu techniques, but I'm not at his level, or at least I can't fight him, not yet. Sona was surprised by what her pawn told her. Damn, you may have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. But you're still no match for me. The brown-haired boy just looked at Razor as if he had grown another head. Should I tell you the truth, or should we keep playing? That's strange to Phoenix and everyone who didn't expect what he was going to say. What are you talking about? Well, the truth is that since I use my haki, I could see beforehand how strong you are, and the truth is, if you made an effort to become stronger and improve your attacks, you could be a good challenge, but since you are so proud of your level, you didn't see the need to raise it. That is your biggest mistake. That left the blonde with his mouth open at the thought that he considered him weak. My teacher taught me that if a warrior is clouded by his arrogance, he is a warrior who can never be powerful, and the truth is, I have no reason to hold back with you. Contain yourself. You're just bluffing. I let you shine, but now it's my turn. Here I come. He raised his leg very high and then, with a quick movement, lowered it as if he were kicking. Renkyaku. And out of nowhere a pale blue energy formed in the form of a wave that headed towards Razor. He simply received the attack, but that energy passed through him, cutting his arm and part of his shoulder and side. And it didn't stop there, as it also cut through some pillars and reached the ground, revealing a large cut in the rock floor. Razor knew from that energy that it was wind, a very lethal element, and he was thankful that his regeneration was saving him. But something was going through his mind. Because I'm feeling this fear. Those were his thoughts when he saw Issei. What you did to me didn't affect me. I'm just going to regenerate and regenerate until you get tired. Well, that's what I hope, because it would be more boring if I had defeated you with a weak attack. That left the Phoenix and everyone else frozen except for 2 who were just watching the match with bored faces. Was that a weak attack? What did you just do? That was Rankyaku, a technique that allows your legs to become like the wind. It is possible to be fast enough to generate cutting winds that cut even steel, is what Saji said while still watching the match. This is just the beginning, I hope you're ready, is what Issei said and then disappeared from everyone's sight. Damn you, don't hide. Razor's words were of no use as he was once again punched. But this one was so much stronger that it threw him many meters through pillars that fell on top of him. Razor got up with difficulty. But something was happening. The blows he received were as if they hurt more than his body. They will hurt your spirit. He prepared his fists, lighting them with pure fire. He was angry at being humiliated by that low class. Damn it, I'll make you pay for what you've done to me. He launched himself with a punch in his hand straight at Issei. The latter did not move from his place, looking at Razor seriously. Everyone was shouting at him to move but he didn't listen. 5. The blow hit its target, making Razor smile, but something happened. Issei didn't fall or writhe in pain. He looked at it more closely and then became frightened. The brown-haired man's face was covered by a black, as if it were black metal, and the worst thing. He didn't get any scratches. Is this the best you have? The brown question scared the blonde more. I'll show you what a real punch is, Basashoku Koka. He showed strength in his right arm and it turned black like metal. Take this. With great force I hit Razor's chin and sent him flying, drawing blood. Sore Geppo. The jump and then disappear from everyone's sight. Where did he go? Is what one of the spectators asked. But I didn't expect that in a blink of an eye he would appear in front of Razor, who was still rising from the blow. You noticed how Issei's right leg turned black and then he turned and hit Razor in the back of the neck with his heel. This fell with great force, crashing against the ground, raising a lot of dust. Everyone was surprised by such a show of strength. Issei landed on a pillar, still looking bored at his opponent. So many games, I'll finish this now. Razor emerged from the rubble but now more injured. Those blows had done so much damage to him that his regeneration was not doing its job properly. What the hell are you? Is what he asked with some fear, knowing that he was not standing a chance against him. I'm just a human who was reincarnated, and all thanks to Butchu she gave me the opportunity to become someone. Everyone paid attention to Issei's words, especially a certain Redeed. If she had not reincarnated me, perhaps I would not have become stronger, perhaps I would not have the opportunity to face the Mao, perhaps I would not have the opportunity to fight against very strong beings. My objective is God. I want him and all the most powerful beings of the supernatural to come to recognize me as a very powerful being. The chestnut's acquaintances only smiled, knowing that his conviction was one that, by his words, would not give up until he achieved it. But above all, she gave me the opportunity that with my effort and hard work, that with my will I can have what I have wanted most for a long time, the opportunity to have a family. Now Issei's acquaintances smiled more and Rias could not stop shedding tears of joy and putting a hand on her heart at the aforementioned words. And that's why I'm going to cancel this wedding, because I want her to be there when I become a high-class devil and have my family. I want her to be with me along with all my friends so we can pursue our dreams and goals. I want us all to go back to Kao and keep going to school and have more battles, more challenges. And that's why I'm going to finish you off in one fell swoop, because I want my Nakama back. That last thing he shouted to the artificial skies, leaving many surprised, a smiling Aika and Saji, and Arias, who was very happy to know that her pawn wants her back home, the club along with all of them. He would do anything for a Nakama. And that is what scared people like Razor, since enemies who fight for something are the most fearsome to those who only see others as inferior beings. Are you crazy? You're just a reincarnated person. You'll never be able to achieve anything like that. You'll never be able to cancel my wedding with my trophy, and above all, you'll never be able to have her back. You think that with effort and hard work, you'll be able to beat God, but you're just an idiot who dreams, and I, as a member of the upper class, will be the one in charge of making you see how weak you are. He now gathered a lot of fire and this increased in size, forming a huge tornado of fire surrounding the whole place, leaving many people mowed down by the fire. The ice were the words of Rias, who knew that this technique could kill her pawn. As Razor's words echoed throughout the tornado, Issei just had his gaze lowered with his hair covering his eyes. That's why idiots like you think that by being demons they become stronger. I have destroyed the dreams of many reincarnated people like you who wanted to aspire to the highest. You say that you are going to finish me off with a single blow. What a joke. Stop with the idiocy. You will never defeat God, you will never be able to have her back. Dreams and goals do not exist for servants like you, and when I have defeated you, I will make her scream your name on our wedding night while I make her mine. Finish him. Razor Sama, make him see his place in the underworld. Hahaha. That was what the queen and the other Razor servants said, laughing at the unfortunate fate that Issei will suffer. Excluding two who were a girl with a half mask who looked at everything in a neutral way and a blonde who was very hurt and sad, knowing what her king is capable of. It seems that this is the end of the meeting, said the leader of the Phoenix family. It seems so, Lord Phoenix answered the leader of the Gremory family. Thinking that the third heir already had victory in the bag. Father, Lord Phoenix, you are right, this is about to end is what the Mau said, but with a smile watching the encounter. But in the battle Issei, despite being in the eye of a dense tornado of fire, had not moved an inch from his place. He just squeezed his right hand very tightly as it turned black with red flashes dancing on his arm, as if they were electric rays. So you're saying I can't finish you off with one hit? Huh? All the tornado's fire moved until it was in front of him in one place, and in that place was Razor loaded with a lot of fire, and he launched himself to be able to finish him off. Your mind damn reincarnated. The speed and fire made it look like a meteor, and Issei still didn't move. Ice, that was the cry of Ria's and all the brown-haired boys' acquaintances, excluding two who only looked with serious eyes, and only the one with glasses spoke. I hope he doesn't kill him or we'll be in for a lot of trouble, he said this with some annoyance. Just as the meteor Razor approached to end the encounter, something happened. What surprised many was that with a quick movement Issei. 5. He hit Razor, but this time on the left side of the face, leaving him stunned and hitting him against the ground. Meanwhile, a shockwave of power emerged from the place as if a superior force had fallen with all its might. Not only him, but many others present. Everything became silent. Nobody expected it. Then from Issei's hand a few drops of blood came out and dripped onto the already cracked floor, but it wasn't his. Razor's era. Razor's maids were in shock as they saw their king lying on the ground motionless with a punch mark on his face. There was no need to think about what they were actually seeing. At the place by a magic circle, Graphia appeared and went to check the status of the high-class demon. After a few seconds she gave her verdict. The winner is Issei Haidu. All the demons who thought that a reincarnated person couldn't beat a high-class person were in shock. The members of the Phoenix family were the same, except for the leader who was smiling at the result. The Mayu just looked smiling, looking at the boy and being somewhat excited about his meeting with him. Ice's acquaintances and Razor's maids appeared there and congratulated him on his victory, while they just looked at their king worried about his health. Whereas, he turned to see Ria's who had tears in her eyes. They were tears of joy knowing that she was now free and that she would have a chance to be with him. The brown-haired boy just smiled and with his thumbs, he wiped the tears from her beautiful face. But you must not cry, she must always smile. That was all it took for her to stop crying and smile sincerely and hug him. Ice, thank you so much. No problem, haha. Everyone thought this would be a happy ending, but… Hey you. Some don't want to finish yet. It was Razor's queen who, along with most of the nobility, looked angrily and hatefully at the brown-haired boy. But he didn't even turn to look at her. This isn't over, where do you think you're going? They were ready to attack the chestnut tree, but… Without looking at them, he raised his fist, which was tensed with strength. They were scared, they were no longer willing to go against him. But instead of attacking them, he just raised a finger pointing upwards. They didn't understand what it meant. Until he looked at them with great determination and unwavering courage and said to them, I am going to the top. That was more than clear, and his friends will be there to see him reach the top. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.